It's gone. Krishnamurti Garu, can you hear me now? I'm only concentrating on you, not on this fellow. Not on the. Now, can you hear me? Nobody could hear me. Okay. Now, just for your benefit, I have just started. I started by saying, how do you perceive a desire? A desire is nothing but. I didn't say that at all. How do you perceive a desire? And I said, it all starts with the self, which is Paripurna. Yourself, when you do not know or realize your fullness, there is a feeling of an emptiness or a void. And then to fill that void, your mind generates thoughts and desires to address that emptiness or void felt within. And that ends up as the desires you have accumulated today. So the more the void, the greater the expression of desires, lesser the void, lesser desires, and it is the desires that drive you into the world, that drive you into experience, that drives you to contact the world. When there is no desire, you are more introverted.
Why is it that by people, when you feel the void, it's going external? It seems like that.
See, the question is, when you feel a void, why are the thoughts going external? First of all, why did the very void come about? Because you did not go internal. You do not know yourself. You are asking, when there is a void, why are thoughts going out into the world to fill the void? My question is, how did the very void come about? Because you did not go internal. You do not know your fullness. Satya is full. But Satya doesn't know that he is full. So from the very ignorance of not going inward, the approach has gone outward. Either you go inward or outward. He's only expressing the thought flow. When you don't go inward, what happens? You see. So we are trying to understand how it all started, what is happening, and we're trying to actually consciously reverse a process. You see that? So what are we trying to do? We're trying to go inward to gain the knowledge of the self, which is contrary to rushing into the world, chasing one's desires. So the moment that process becomes effective, the void starts thinning away, starts disappearing. It doesn't have a hold on you. It's an imagine. In fact, the interesting part is they say it's a whole void is imaginary. There is no real void. What is real is the self. The void is imaginary. That's the staggering part of it. I'm not touched on that. The staggering part is, if the void is real, understandable. They are saying when there is no void, it's like you are seeing a mirage. There is no mirage. There's a desert there. There's no water there. But you believe there's a water. So it is all your imagination. They're saying the whole thing is a trick of your mind. Understand that? Staggering. It's staggering. Yes, Emma. 1 minute. Yes, Emma.
You also shared it in your classes that from childhood, the child is trained to see toys and objects.
Yes.
You know, the human is trained like that to see objects.
Yes.
So, like this watch to become a program and see things.
It's all stimulated. As you rightly said, it's all externally stimulated. Yeah, very true. Yes, Ma?
I just want to ask, does desires come through vasanas that we bring?
It is. Yes.
So it is also our own vasanas.
It is your.
Is coming to light now.
Yes, but where does the vasana come from? See, if you go back to the chart, where does vasana fit in there?
Before the desire.
Yes. Where do you think
Because
exactly vasana would fit in before the
desires
desire?
are actually thoughts, isn't it?
Yes.
So it comes through the vasanas, like what you said just now, yes.
Yeah, but where I'm
Yeah,
asking you,
it comes
where does a
because we are
vasana?
not aware of the self.
Correct. So vasana can be replaced as ignorance of the self.
Correct.
So you're asking, doesn't desire come from vasana? Yes, vasana is synonymous to ignorance of the self. So you will not be wrong if you put in bracket vasana. Correct, sir? And where does a vasana come from? You don't know yourself. When you know yourself, they say state of perfection is known as vasanalessness.
Yes.
So when you do not know yourself, there's a vasana. When you know yourself, there's no vasana. So even if you approach this chart from a perspective of vasana, you're not wrong. So you're not wrong. Okay. So having mentioned this as a matter of fact, it is rather difficult for us to attune to the absolute level. To say that I do not know myself, to feel that void. If you feel that void, then you are fairly attuned, very finely attuned. But many cannot attune to this. Now, let's come down to a relative level. How would you philosophically define a desire? I'm trying to build a thought, and then I'm going to establish it. So be with me the next hour or so, and you will be able to carry the ideas which you knew, but I'm just putting it in one capsule. So you can have it, everything around surrounding a desire, you'll have it in one go. Okay, so we have defined from an absolute point of view. From a relative point of view, how would you philosophically describe a desire? How do you understand a desire relatively? Dr. Ravi, philosophically, how would you describe a desire? It's an urge within, all right? A lingering thought. What does a thought which lingers, what does it do to you? Restlessness. You're thinking along. Very good. What else? What else can you capture? What do you gather when you say a desire? An agitation. Sorry? Anger is thereafter, later. But the mere desire itself. Now, if you, for a moment, you got to put yourself in the shoe of these answers and say, oh my God, what is a desire? Desire is it's an impulse, it's a wanting. You want something. It's a constant longing for something. It sort of throbbing, correct? An anticipation, which is nothing but a sign of dissatisfaction because you don't have it. In effect, all that is nothing but an agitation. And if I were to constantly be harboring desires, which means I am exposing myself to that agitation. Desire is an impulse within me. It's a longing, it's a lingering, it's a wanting, it's a throbbing, it is expecting, it's anticipating, hoping. And all that is nothing but not having what you want, which is nothing but an agitation. You said anger. Anger is a later modification of desire. But if desire itself is an agitation, my God. So if you were to go along with this thought, there is a heavy undercurrent of desires within us. Isn't it? It's like when you scan a mountain, a volcanic mountain, you see there's a thought there's a lava that's flowing under the mountain. The mountain will be snow capped at the top. Deep within there's a lava that's flowing. So right when I look at you now, there's a possibility that there is a very strong lava of desires that are constantly gurgling within you. And what does it do? That underlying flow of desires, what does it do to you? It creates a large restlessness. That's the word, in fact. There's a restlessness. You can never be at ease. And I'm not talking Vedas here. I'm not talking Upanishads. I'm talking very, very basic, very, very fundamental. And yet what we are doing is we are very comfortable harboring these desires, isn't it? We never ever feel there's anything wrong with entertaining desires. Not knowing what we're entertaining. It's like I have a house guest and he's actually a robber, a thief. And I'm entertaining him. I'm feeding him, I'm providing for him. Not knowing he's going to rob me one day. So desires are actually the very cause of taking away your peace and happiness from you. So you can never be at ease when you harbor and hold on to a desire. You can never be at ease. Because desire means replace all this. Agree with me? You're able to logically agree with me? No.
Sure, of course, sometimes when we have something, it can be as good desires as well.
See, there's nothing, we're not qualifying a desire as good or bad here. We're saying a desire per se, for example. Would you consider what I'm doing is good? Little good? Good. Now, no, I need to go along with her, you see. So, I'm trying to do some good to you all, to the people at large. So, if, I'm putting a very big if there is a desire in me to teach, and if there are no takers, okay, what would that do to me? I long to give this knowledge. I look for takers. The hall is open, the doors are open. Anybody can come and take it. No conditions attached. No frills. It's all for you to take it. Get benefited by it. And if there are no takers, it would be the most depressing thing because I am having a desire to give this knowledge to you. And there are no takers. So my desire is unfulfilled. So I'm paying a price for entertaining a desire to share this knowledge. Thank God I don't have the desire. Imagine if I had the desire to give this knowledge, I'll be the most disappointed person. Because it's not necessary everybody appreciates this knowledge, isn't it? Well, and I'm not doing this as a part-time. You know what, me and my life. And I'm not driven on desires. I'm driven on obligation. I find myself obliged to speak to you all. I've applied myself, put these thoughts together. I'm presenting to you all.
We are lucky to have you.
I'm happy to be in your company as well. So I'm only trying. Sorry?
Something wonderful that you're giving us. We are taking it.
See, how welcoming you are. See, I really appreciate the thought and concern and love. But how welcoming you are, it doesn't justify for me to entertain a desire for it. How welcoming you are. But, oh yeah, they have so much. Let me entertain a desire to give out more to you. The moment I start harboring, believe me, I'll be in trouble. I am very certain when I say this, I am not having a desire to teach this knowledge, and yet you would have only seen me doing this. Have you seen me playing golf?
We have a desire to receive this knowledge.
That is your desire. I have no jurisdiction on what desires you entertain. I don't operate on this desire to teach. I don't have a desire to teach. If I have a desire to teach, everyone I meet, I'll be lecturing. It doesn't happen that way. Every time I meet any one of you all, I've met you all yesterday. Did I give a lecture to you all? And I'm sure they wouldn't mind me if I had something to share. You're welcoming, but I don't, unless until I find an obligation. That's different to desire. And yet you dissect me. There's everything in me, but nothing else but this. That sense. So, however noble an act, however pure an act, you can't justify to harbor a desire and say, what's wrong with that? That's why I took an example of my life. Since you know me as a person and my works, you have been a student of this knowledge. And yet, I say it doesn't justify for me to entertain a desire to give this knowledge to you. Because tomorrow you may not want it. Who is disappointed? Tomorrow you don't want this knowledge, na? Who is the loser? No, when I say loser, I'm not talking from your point of view. Who is paying the price? Me, isn't it? So how does it justify for me to have a desire for it? Most unintelligent way to approach.
So the desire is subjective. You say that
What do you mean subjective?
because you say like you like teaching, you say teaching, your desire. It may either be your desire or obligatory duty. So we can take it as a desire that is your desire.
See, 3 types of actions: selfish, unselfish, selfless. I can be doing this act of teaching with a selfish purpose. I can be doing it with an unselfish purpose. Lovely people, such pure intention to learn. I will give more than what I can. I put tons of effort, prepare well, do all what I can to serve you all. Unselfish desire. I've been invited. I'll do my best. Selfless at doing my duty. You see the difference. There's a distinct difference between unselfish and selfless. Even when there's unselfish desire, it will land. You are no different in that list, please. That's why we didn't qualify the desire as selfish. The moment you have a desire, it is nothing but an agitation. However noble a desire. I want to give Atma Vidya to all. Man, come and take. I am no condition. Man, take it. And I can be depressed. I can be in depression because nobody is taking it. Nobody wants it from me. Man, what's wrong with me? The wrong is I am anticipating. Please take it, please take it. Giving, take it. Nobody wants it. I am the fellow paying the price for it. So even for an act like this, you can't justify to entertain a desire. Fascinating thought. Thanks to you all. Fascinating discussion. I don't know whether you're getting in the spirit of it. It's a beautiful discussion.
So for you are doing this, it's like a duty for you, is it?
Oh, only a duty.
Duty.
Only a duty. Selfless. It qualifies under selfless. Such thing as? See, any desire which is driven towards your own self-realization, it has become selfless. So you don't attach any strings to anything that you do. Just do on duty. I'm bound to it. I'm bound as a husband. I'm bound as a father. I'm bound as a teacher. I'm bound as a student of this knowledge. I'm bound to myself for the things I have to do. I do it because it ought to be done. Very difficult to attune or appreciate that. Yes, doctor.
Passion and ambition is different.
You will find that after the presentation, you will find a distinct difference. You can say passion,
They are different, right?
different.
Passion
Passion,
and ambition on the positive side. The desires are always.
I would say a passion is on the side of desire, and ambition is the other side. And ambition is the other side. I would put passion in the form of desire. You're running behind your passions. What are the passions that fancy you, that entertain you, that excite
I
you?
use the word passion, desire for teaching, passion for teaching. Right?
So that's what I'm saying. It depends on how you use it, but the word passion is used as a desire. So what we will have to understand from what little we have captured is desire is only and always used as a negative connotation. The Shastras only use it as a negative connotation. The moment we use desire, it connotes negative. You've got to get that very clear as a student of this knowledge. What they are saying, we are trying to understand what these masters are saying. So desire means negative.
Ambition is opposite.
Yes, I already said that. It's other side, but you will get that picture of that at the end of the presentation. So let me build the thought as to what desire is and what it does. I'm just about trying to capture desire from an absolute and relative point. You see? So desire and passion on one side, ambition on the other side. Yes, ma'am.
Quite similar to what Dr. Ravi asked. It's actually, from the philosophical side, I understand what you're saying, but usually they say desire is the one that fuels your passion, right? Otherwise, that's what gives you the stimulus to go on and that is one that pushes you.
It's from a layman's point of view. That is a layman's perspective.
Yeah, layman's, that's always the argument there. So if you have no desire, there's only this debate.
No,
That
not
one
at all.
bias the other.
That's the reason we are consciously painting a picture. It's for you to be patient and let the picture be complete, and then you'll get a clear vision of what it is. But many people out there are trying to make an idea of what a picture is with a dot or a dash. The painter just started, only concluding what it is. Give some time to the painter, man. So they don't get into the knowledge and understand what it is. They just take a dot or a dash and say, oh, this is what it is. Or is it a camel? Or it's an elephant? Or is it a horse? No, I've just started. Is it okay? So, Parole, Singham has gone, sir. He'll check it out. Now, let's go a little step by step. What is it? How the desire actually has completely overwhelmed us, how it has consumed us, how we all are a victim of those desires. Amazing. It's amazing to know how it has completely consumed us. So the first thing you got to learn to differentiate is the desire vis-a-vis the desiring in the desire. Perhaps it is giving us a little breathing space. Okay, man, it's nothing. Till now we said desire is negative. But here he's saying it's okay to have desire. But it's not right to have the desiring in the desire. I can have a desire for something. And yet is it not possible that the desire is not really bothering me? It's there. I know I wanted to do it. I wanted to experience it. But it is not that it is bothering me. So when there is a desiring in the desire, the desiring is nothing but there is an obsession. There is a craving. There is a thirst. There is a force arising from the desire. A desire can be there and it can be latent. It can be dormant. I know I have a desire for it, but it's okay. It doesn't have to be that I have to get it, somehow pick it up, and my life pings on that or relies on that. No, no, it's not so. So there is moments where you get into the desiring in the desire. There is that obsession, the craving, the thirst, the force, as we say, the vega, the energy, the momentum, the burst, the thrust coming from the desire. So what you got to be conscious is never ever fall a prey to that force which is in the desire. As long as there's a desire and it can be kept at bay, if it can be kept quiet, if it can be, even though desire is an agitation as we already established, but from that energy there is a burst. It's like a volcano which is not it is dormant. It's an active volcano, but it is not. It is dormant. Like there are many mountains, volcanic mountains. So they constantly, geologists keep going and monitoring the level of activity so that they have enough time to warn the people. Never know when it's going to erupt. So they keep constantly monitoring. So you never know when your desire is going to burst and erupt. Because it has that potency, but at times something triggers it and you get excited. Doesn't it? What is it that triggers the desire? Huh? Okay, let's say other day when we came and watched your performance. Okay. And immediately after the performance, let's say immediately something rises in me and say, hey, I also should learn this. We went and watched her performance in the Temple of Fine Art the other day. Please let the invitation go out. Let more people come and watch. It was a beautiful performance. If something arises in me and say, hey, I should also pursue this, what a beautiful dance it is and so well it is performed, and it's something, triggers something in me, that means there is a desire for, what dance was that? Odyssey, correct, Odyssey. I have a desire for Odyssey. But if there is nothing that happened, nothing but an appreciation for a particular art, there is no desire in me. Isn't it? So what I'm trying to establish is, it is the world around, the sense objects actually inflame the existing dormant desires. So you got to be careful to ensure that you don't get into the mode of the desiring in the desire. And you can never be sure when that's going to happen. It's like you're playing with fire in a petrol station. You're actually playing with fire in a petrol station. How long does it take to start a conflagration? It just takes that little spark and the whole petrol station will blow up. So the petrol here is Venkat, desires. And the flame is the tantalizing, tempting sense objects of the world. They can entice you at any moment. You fall a prey for it. And to this, the famous words of Adi Shankaracharya, he says this. I don't know. Oh yeah, he's there. Mudha jahihitha nagama trishnam kuru sadbuddhim manasi vitrishnam yallabhase nija karmopartham vittam tena vinodaya chetam. What does it mean? He says, oh fool, give up your thirst for aggrandizing wealth. He doesn't say don't give up wealth, he says. Dr. Ravi, he's not saying to give up wealth. Give up your thirst. Thirst is that force, that vega, that compelling nature of yours to constantly aggrandize, acquire more and more and more. Give up the thirst for acquisition, not acquisition. No doubt acquire. Life cannot go on without acquiring. Your necessities, your needs, no doubt. Go and acquire, but never to the extent where it consumes you. You're consumed by the thirst for acquiring. Create in your mind the thought of the reality instead of the thirst. So one who is consumed of his thirst, there is no other thought but that, isn't it? Can he think of anything higher, Balaji? Anything else other than thirst? Consumed. Whatever you gain from your action, content your mind with that wealth obtained. So when you live a life devoid of the thirst and thinking of the higher, you're content with whatever you gain. The opposite of that is running and craving and obsession for wanting things. This is what the world knows, Lakshmi Ma. The world, you say the desire is that you need to drive you. The world knows that. The thirst, dangerous. Never fall a trap into that thirst for wanting. I've just started painting a picture. Don't complete the picture is not complete yet. Just be patient. And then what happens is, whenever you are in the pursuit of desire, any pursuit and fulfillment of desires invariably creates what? I'm repeating the question. Any pursuit and fulfillment of a desire invariably creates dash. You're not wrong when you say more desires, but that's not what I'm looking at. What does a pursuit of a desire create? That also is not what I'm looking at. Not that you're wrong. It certainly creates more desires and greed. Yes, Ma? See, again, we're not qualifying a desire as selfish or unselfish. It fits into even unselfish desire.
Moving away from this.
The moment you have pursued something, you get what you desire, you develop an attachment for it. That's why I said invariably you develop an attachment. And this is a consequence of chasing a desire. You're attached. You are attached to something you have. And that happens only when you have chased and pursued something. You're attached to it. And what is it? What attachment is? Getting attached to something is to lose one's liberty or freedom. What is attachment, ma? Getting attached to something means you have lost your liberty or freedom. You have become dependent. You have become a slave, in fact. The moment you get attached to something, sir, you have actually become the slave of that which you are attached to. You're dependent on that. So it is that object of dependency determines your state. And attachment is a mental state. If you're attached to your business, a businessman is attached to his clients, isn't it? Because that is what that makes his business going. And it's his clients that determine the state of his mind, because his state of his mind depends on how his business is flourishing. And who determines his business? His clients. So who is determining his state of mind? His clients. And does he have a control over his clients? You are a slave over your creation of becoming a businessman and being an entrepreneur. And you are successful, and yet your peace of mind is not in your hand. It's dependent on the business your clients are generating for you. That's attachment for you, my dear. If you attach to it. A child is attached to toys. So a child's peace of mind is determined by the toys. Understandable. A Swami is attached to the ashrams, the name and the fame and the following. And it is the following that determines his peace of mind, if he is attached. Ask Ushama what I told her. What did you say? How many? Only few people are coming for the talk. What did I say to you? Ours is to do what is needed. Whether people come or not is not my jurisdiction. It should be your headache, not my headache. So you people want me here. I didn't say I want to come, I want to talk to you all. I made myself available, even though it was not intended, this trip was not intended for that purpose, but I was more than happy to create some time if you all are available. But if you say not many are available, that is not my jurisdiction. Is it my jurisdiction? If I am attached to you all, believe me, I am the most miserable fellow. And you can ask my wife, she is the closest who knows me. Have I ever been attached to any student, Vijay? Yes or no? You mean this fellow can talk anything he
But all
wants.
the students attached to you.
That is not my call. I am only telling, I'm being very true when I say so. I have so much of love and feeling, I feel so much at home being here. I can't put it in any more words than this. I feel so much at home. I feel so much comfortable. I take the liberty with you all. Believe me, I take the liberty. I may not take that with back home. I may not take so, but yet I cannot afford to develop an attachment to you all. I did not do when I was here, nor can I do when I'm away. And yet there is such a genuine feeling of appreciation of what you all have, what you feel. It will be like very unfair, or it will be very, not even unfair, it will be very unkind if I don't feel and reciprocate. I feel I am a human. And Vedanta, being Vedantin doesn't mean you don't feel for others. I feel as much as you feel for me, or it's not being specific to me, but that the feeling is mutual. But if I am attached to the student, which is, I don't want to use that language or parlance, it's like a businessman and client. This is me. There is a following. And whatever name you all have created, I can't even be attached to the name you all have created because that can be tarnished anytime. Who created a reputation around me? You people have created. I didn't create a reputation. Who created a reputation? It's the world that creates a reputation. At one point, I had a reputation. That reputation can go high or low. How can that define me? Nay. If you are attached to it, believe me, it can be the most miserable thing. What are they talking about me? Finished. That can kill you, destroy you. So, moment you are attached to anything, remember you are a slave to it. And invariably, the sad realities is we are attached to everything that we are found success in. Success in what, sir? Balaji was lost his concentration. I caught him. Correct? Inge poichu manasu theriyum. Success in? How many of you concentrating? Yamuna? Success in what? What was the question? How did I phrase it now? Nobody is concentrating. Krishnamurti Garu, I have to ask you. At least you are concentrating from there. All these people are switched off here. They call me all the way from India and they switched off. In the Venkat. In the question. See, you have invariably developed attachment to whatever you have found success in. And what is the success here it refers to? Sorry, sir? Acquiring, or in the context, fulfilling your desires. You have successfully got whatever you desired. You wanted a house, you got a house. You wanted a job, you got a job. You wanted to create a business, you got a business. You wanted a family, you got a family. You wanted money, you got some money. All that you have found success in satisfying your desires, my dear, you have developed an attachment for it and now you are a slave to it. What's wrong with desires? This is wrong with desires. Every step I will try to substantiate that the question is very right. What is wrong with desires? There's everything wrong with desires. If you don't know how to approach it, obviously. It has a negative connotation, and how it has completely overwhelmed and made you a slave to it. It is to paint that picture. Are you all with me?
Yes.
Moving further. Desire is the root of emotion. When I say the root, from that everything stems, isn't it? The root is that which supports the tree and everything above. So when you see all the emotions that gurgles, that in your bosom, that is manifested, that surrounds you, where does it stem from? Desire is the root. Desire is the desire. So went back into my file and said, and checked, desire is a desire. I said, desire. Didn't have time to correct it. For all. It's like a closed family thing. Within no time, our friend did that PowerPoint, so I can't be complaining. But for your correction, for you to make a note, desire, from one desire, is the root of all emotion. So all the emotions that actually come from one desire, as they say, kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsarya, bhaya. What are they? Desire, anger, delusion. Moha is delusion. Greed, lobha. You mentioned earlier. Greed, delusion, moha, mada, arrogance. Arrogance towards people who are not as successful as you are, or someone lower to you. Then how do you treat your subordinates? How do you treat your cleaners in the hospital? How do you treat the parking guy in your condo, a security guard? थोड़ा प्यार दो उनको भी. Give them also some love. So that arrogance or envious towards people who are better placed than you. To find someone who has a little bit more talent than you, how do you feel for him? Do you feel happy for him or you feel envious about him? You have only got one graduate, one degree, as well as a triple graduate. How do you feel for him? Happy for him or happy? Then there is no envy in your life. Blessed you are. But I'm saying how envy can come in. Someone has a better thing, a better that, a better this. He's got a bigger ashram than mine, as well as a better following than mine. You feel envy of that fellow? The spiritual field also you can have that. You got to be careful. He's attracting more students than me. Envy as well. See, how can it slip in? You don't know how this envy can come in. Envy, which is matsarya, and then bhaya. Bhaya is fear. So all of this comes from desire. Desire is the root of all emotion. Watch out. Dangerous. It is dangerous.
Mother is not madness.
Sorry, sir?
Mother is
Mother is arrogance.
arrogance, not madness.
Leads to madness. I hope so. When I say hope so, I hope I'm not wrong when I say so. Huh? What is it? The clock? That time is showing 6:45 only. For a moment I thought, no, it's stuck there. It's not moving. So this is what it is. Desires, greed, delusion, arrogance, envy, fear also should come in. Fear. And the next point you got to note, which we very much undermine, is the what is a power of a thought? A thought is a sankalpa. Do you know how potent the thought is? What can that thought do to you? Hmm? It can do a lot. A mere thought, just a thought, Vaishnavi, one thought. And in the second chapter of the Gita, there is a reference to the famous ladder of fall. The ladder of fall, he says. In fact, there are two ladders in the Shastras. One is a ladder of fall in the Gita, another ladder of rise in the Bhajagovindam. Satsangatve nissangatvam, nissangatve nirmohatvam, nirmohatve nischalatatvam, nischalatatve jivan. Like a ladder of rise. And here's a ladder of fall. And the ladder of fall is Dhyayato Vishayan Pumsa Sanghasteshu Pajayate Sanghat Sanjayate Kama Kamat Krodho Vijayate. Next. Krodhat Bhavati Sammoha Sammohat Smriti Vibhramaha Smriti Vibhramshat Buddhinashaha Buddhinashat Rashati. So remember the famous ladder of fall. So go back, sir. So what he says is a man musing on objects, a mere musing, develops an attachment for them, and from attachment arises desire, from desire arises anger, and from anger comes delusion, from delusion confusion of memory, from confusion of memory loss of intellect, and loss of intellect leads you to complete destruction. You perish. So the ladder of fall. Now how did you get into this ladder? I forgot your name. Shashi. Shashi, yeah. Okay, Shashi, okay, no? How does one get into the ladder? You heard the ladder just now? How does one get into the ladder? White board இல்லையா இங்க? போர்டு இல்லையா? பரவாயில்ல. இல்லைன்னா பரவாயில்ல. அங்க இருக்க போர்டு. பாலாஜி இந்த போர்டு கொண்டு வாங்க. இங்க இருக்கணும். அங்க என்ன பண்ற போர்டு அது? Venkat, control this one. You have to read that.
Sequence of arrogance.
Arrogance.
Yeah.
Sir,
Modification.
Sir, modification. See, when the desires create modification in two angles, two aspects. So, when desires are fulfilled and desires are unfulfilled. So, when desires are unfulfilled, one happens. When desires are fulfilled, happens. So, when desires are fulfilled, okay, glad since you asked, put desire at the top. And when desires are One more, Ella. When desires are fulfilled, you develop.
Attachment.
Very good. Attachment. Then arrogance. Next. Fear. Fear. Who said fear?
Losing it.
Fear of losing what you have got, correct? Fear and which is
Greed.
greed, correct? Then arrogance. Oh, sorry, no. Arrogant written. Then you become no. Envy.
That's vedanta.
So when you've got something, you look at people who have got more than you. I've got this job, but that fellow has got a better job than me. So having got something, you're looking at people who have got more than you. When you get something, you're looking at people who have less fortune than you. This happens when you get your desire fulfilled.
That is fear of loss.
Fear of losing what you have got. Fear of losing. That's attachment. Whatever you're attached to, you develop fear.
But envy also envy because you don't get what you want.
See, if you
Let's say you want a promotion, you don't get it. So it's unfulfilled, but you are envious somebody else got it.
you are envious because somebody else has got something which you did not get. Possible. We're not saying it's wrong, but usually we would categorize envy into an aspect where one's desire is fed. Because what happens when desire is unfed, you will have another aspect to it. But it can crop. It's also intermingled. You might feel you're not wrong when you say you're envious something someone else has got because you didn't get it. But because you have tasted something in life because you want something more. Because they already tasted, you have some success. That is when you feel envy. It's more leaning towards here than that. But you're not wrong. Okay? Now, but when desires are unfulfilled,
Agitation.
you get into the ladder of fall. In the ladder of fall, I said, Shashi, this is where I got asking you a question. So the ladder of fall is, it starts with a thought. He says a man musing on something, he develops an attachment, desire, anger, and delusion, then loss of memory, loss of intellect, total destruction. This is the ladder of fall. Okay? Correct? Huh? Now, let me rephrase my question. Where do you think you are safe in this ladder? Nobody else answers, please. Where do you think you are safe in this ladder except Shashi? Nobody answers. I'm not trying to pin you down, I'm just trying to engage you, that's all. So you think the best place to be in this ladder at the thought? where do you think you have a chance of controlling?
Maybe even intellectually.
Yeah, I certainly intellectualize it, but where do you think you're safe in the ladder?
Control your mind.
Where Makano? I just want to double check whether you're certain with your answer. The safest place to be in the ladder is thoughts. You have a chance of not slipping down the ladder. Like if you are on a flight of stairs and you have slipped in the first step you have put in, finished. You have a long flight to go down and you are in deep trouble. Ping pong, it just goes on. It goes, you have no control there. So you have a fair chance. So whenever a thought comes to your head, whatever be a thought, and what the world is good at is to implant thoughts into your head. That's what the world does to you, isn't it? Through the media, the advertisement, it just pounds you with lot of thoughts. There's enough. The world enters into you through the form of stimuli. Perception. So when the thoughts come to you, or when the world triggers existing thoughts in you, what do you do? Balaji, what do you do? What should one do? Maybe we may not want to know what Balaji does. Suddenly he was very excited to answer. Immediately I had to stop him. We know what Balaji does. Yes, sir. So what? Please advise us. What should we do, sir? We don't want to know what Balaji does. Huh? What should we do? Huh?
Just hold on to the thought.
Hold on to the thought. And do what? I don't know. People say, hang on for a while. Why you hang? I can't understand. You know? I don't want to hang. When somebody says hang on, I don't want to hang myself. Why you want me to hang myself? You know? And they say, what? Sorry, what? You know? They don't know what they mean. Obviously, they don't mean that. You know. So you say, hang on to the thought? Huh? If you have the capacity and the alertness to nip it in the bud, you will not go down the ladder.
But if it's a good thought,
Yeah, good thought. I have a desire to teach this knowledge, but nobody is taking. What to do? I am seeing you after 3 years. I can be very angry at you.
no, not after the last year I saw you.
No. Example. Correct. Sorry, I correct that. I can be very angry at you. How can you not see me 1 year? I've come, you didn't see me last time. Last time
But I always think of you.
Oh, thank you very much. But our date is still pending. I've asked for a date to go for one day. I said, please, we'll go out. She has not given that date yet. See, what will happen to me? Will I not be angry? என்ன சொல்லுங்க எஸ்ஆ என்ன இல்ல I've asked her, please, one day we'll go out, I'll take you out for a mall, we'll just spend one time, whole day, I said. Go for a movie, go for lunch, dinner, I said, let's spend some time. And she's not given the date yet to me, doctor. What will happen? You will not feel bad. How many years now? Lot of desires are gone. What to do?
That's not a desire.
Why not desire?
It's not.
Desire illaya. Now, nothing. Please don't go about seeking shelter. It's third, fourth time I'm saying, don't go about seeking shelter by qualifying the desire as good. However, be the nature of desire, whether be unselfish or selfish, it still has the same consequence on you. Being spiritual is not being unselfish. It's to move to selfless. That's the real zone you should be in. Your aim should to get there. But via media is unselfish. But you don't get comfort by settling down on unselfishness. The same consequences. Attachment is there. You'll have the desiring. You will go through the route of emotion. You may slip into the ladder of fall. No difference.
Eventually, the fulfilled desire also will go to
When,
that.
sir?
Eventually, the fulfilled desire. Along the line, they will also again go into that unfulfilled desire.
How is that possible?
See, they start.
Take an example so I can understand your question.
No, the person is getting all the desires and then get all the qualities of fear, greed, and everything. Then suddenly he doesn't get another third desire. He will eventually fall into unfulfilled desire.
You're talking of the subsequent desire.
Subsequent.
Isn't it? So subsequent desire is okay. It's again a fresh desire, fresh start. We're talking of one desire can happen like this. Okay, now I have few more points to add, then it will help you get a complete picture. Now, the next thing what desires do to you is desires oh, so many things are slipping today. Very soon, I hope I don't slip my tongue here.
The matter is the same.
Ah, thank God. Hold on to the content tightly. Ah, yes, sir.
I think for the chronology of action, right?
Correct.
Comes with desires, like that.
In the chronology of action, there is no attachment there. The chronology of action is vasana, thought, desire, action. When you refer to chronology, it comes with the vasana, by the source, then comes a thought, then comes a desire, then comes an action. Isn't it? So there is no role of attachment. But since you draw my attention to the word attachment, the context of attachment here in the ladder of fall refers to an initial thought flow. It starts with one thought and then maybe 15 thoughts and then 100 thoughts. 100 thoughts, if it's 100 thoughts desire, a thicker stream, attachment is a thin stream, a small trickle here, a trickle there. A drop is a thought. So one thought, a drop, a small stream, attachment, a thicker stream, desire. So in this context, attachment means an initial flow. Now, in this context here, attachment comes after the fulfillment of desire. So that we have written attachment twice on the board with different connotation. I'm glad you clarified. Here, attachment is you are like I took example of a businessman who is a slave to his clients, determine his sanity. That is different to the attachment there. If it's confusing, you can put it as mild desire. From one thought to few thoughts. Just rephrase it, just to get your understanding right. I wonder why it's put attachment. It causes a lot of clarification. But once you understand that, it's not an issue.
Only appears in verse 2.
Yeah, only here, nowhere else.
We were discussing that in the class.
Yes, yes.
So if every thought has a vasana, then what about those creative sparks? Something you think of something which are completely very new to you. Like how do people come up with creativity?
Savasana. Like yesterday morning, I was in a temple in Kajang. I was sitting, we had a darshan and we just sat down. Suddenly a thought came, a phrase. I have never ever entertained or spoken those words, and something which I will tell later in reference to the context of the lecture today. And immediately I shared with Vijaya, she was with me. Hey, I was just writing down on the phone so that it doesn't. Sometimes these thoughts are so fluid, they may just slip away. So I just immediately took the phone out and